Okay, this video is going to be on solar panels. I recently had solar panels installed on my house, so I thought I'd do kind of a breakdown of what it cost me to install the solar panels, what the expected energy production is, and how long it could take to pay them off and that kind of thing. And then I'll do, a monthly update, or whenever possible, I'll do a monthly update to see how the panels are going through time, instead of waiting a year or two to have a update on how solar panels are working. Okay, so the first thing is about the solar panels. All right, I installed 23 solar panels on my house. I have a east-west facing house, so the back of my house faces east, the front faces west. I have a hip roof, and the ridge runs north-south, so half of them are on the east side and part of them are on the west side. So that may have a little bit to do with the consumption of, or production of electricity along the way. So that's something we're going to look at as we go through this. Okay. Now, my roof is of the size where part of it is going to be shaded because of trees, so from my neighbors. So I wasn't able to put solar panels on my entire roof to get 100% of my usage. So I'm going to go over that here a little bit to be more precise. Okay, so the panels that I installed are supposed to produce 72% of my power usage estimated from the last year. So as an example, or for last year, I produced, our consumption was 1,267 kilowatt hours per month. So we used about 14,000 kilowatt hours last year in electricity in my house. Okay, now there's a caveat to that. Last year we had 3 people in the house. This year we have 2. My daughter is not here. She went off to college, so now we have 1 fewer person in the house. So we're hoping, with her being gone, the power consumption will go down. So, like I said, we used 14,205 kilowatt hours last year, which is an average of about 1,267 kilowatt hours per month. So our panels are supposed to produce 72% of that, which is about 10,236 kilowatt hours, which is an average of 853 kilowatt hours per month. Okay, the size of our panels are 41 inches wide by 75.2 inches long, and they're rated at 435 kilowatt hours. Okay, the cost of installation was just shy of $40,000. But we will receive, on a federal tax credit, we will get 26% of that back when we file for our taxes this year, which we will then have to send to reduce the cost of the solar panels to less than $30,000. Okay, now Oklahoma does not have any other things that they will apply. They don't have any type of, the power company doesn't have anything, the state doesn't have anything, so the only credits we're going to get is from the federal government. So that's going to, what that does is leaves us with a payment of $206.72 a year, and that will take 12 years to pay off the solar panels at $206.72 a month. The only bill that we are going to have will be we have to pay the solar or the electric company to be on their grid, so it's going to be around $25–30 a month. Like I said, we just did this, so all the charges are not settled yet, because I was paying on a monthly average. So my electric bill before I put up the solar panels was $148. I got my first bill, and that was $139. So each month for the next 11 months, that will keep going down as as the solar panels produce energy, and hopefully we use less energy, so my electric bill will go down. So in the end, by next year, I should have a payment of about, I'll have my payment of $206, and then I'd have to add about $30 a month to be hooked up to the local power company. So I'm looking at $236 a month, $237 a month, someplace in that range is what it's going to cost me for the next 12 years. Now, they do, if the solar panels produce more energy than you consume, there is a box on my electric bill that states that that I've overproduced. So like last month I overproduced by 80 kilowatt hours, so that's a credit on there. So as that is if it's either going to grow or it's going to go away depending on how much I produced every month. So hopefully, like I said, with one fewer person in the house, that the amount of will go up because my daughter isn't here using a bunch of electricity. So what has it produced in the first year? So in the first month, excuse me. So here's some numbers that I picked up off the app. I have an app that comes to my phone, and it tells me how much my solar panels produce every day. And so I can go down the list and see how much they produce every day. So like from September 2 to September 8, they produced 276 kilowatt hours, which was 39.4 a day average. The high day was 45.8, and the low day was 32.2. September 9th through September 15th, they produced 282 kilowatt hours, 40.3 average. The high was 43.1, the low was 35.7. September 16th through the 22nd, it only produced 227 kilowatt hours because there were a couple of days where it was overcast. So the average was 32.4, the high was 36.6, the low was 15.6. And then on September 23rd through the 29th, they produced 229 kilowatt hours, 32.7 average. The high was 36.9, and the low was 15.4 kilowatt hours in one day. So over those 4 weeks, they produced a total of, if I did my math right, 1,114 kilowatt hours. Okay, another thing to take into account is that the days are getting shorter. So on September 2nd, the days were 12 hours, 55 minutes, 48 seconds long. By September 29th, they were only 11 hours, 52 minutes, and 46 seconds long. So they were losing, we're losing about 2 minutes and 15, roughly 13, 14, 15, 16, someplace in there every day until the winter solstice on December 21st. Then the days will start getting longer again. So I'm looking at these numbers are going to keep going down until December, and then they'll go up until the summer solstice in June. So keep track of how much they used every day and on the monthly basis, and then I'm going to compare it to what the solar panels say that they're going to produce. So the way it works, I don't have batteries. I have the type that reverses your meter. So if my solar panels are producing electricity and we're running something in the house, whatever's working in the house will pull the solar power before it pulls off the grid. So like during the day when the solar panels are producing electricity, it's going to pull most of it off of the solar panels. But at night, in the evenings when we come home and we turn on the lights and stuff, then since they're not producing any electricity, and then we start pulling off of the grid, or off the power from the power company. So it's a little difficult to keep track of how much, with your consumption, because they have multiple lines on the PSO thing, on their billing statement. So it'll tell you how much you produce. It'll tell you how much you had to pull from the power company, and it'll also tell you how much you sent to the power company. So during the day, we're sending power to the power company, and then in the evenings, we are receiving power from the power company. So, like I said, the first month we produced 1,014 kilowatt hours, and the average, which means we only need to produce 853 kilowatt hours a month. So we are already in the plus. We're on my bill, I think it was $80 or $82 or 82 kilowatt hours plus. So if this month we don't produce enough to cover our usage, then they will take those 80 kilowatt hours and use them. And then I think if I remember correctly, at the end of the year, if you have a positive number in that kilowatt hours saved up, they will pay you for them at whatever the rate is that whatever the kilowatt hour rate is. So in the end, that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to use less electricity than we produce. So if you have any questions about anything, just write something in the comments. I will try to get back and answer. Maybe if it's a good question, I'll add it into the next video. And also, I'm from Oklahoma. I live in northeast Oklahoma. So a lot of what happens here is not going to be the same as every place else because of where I live. So, but I'm going to try to do a running total every month, see how they produce, see how they're comparing to what they say they produce, and hopefully in the end that we will produce more energy than we consume. So I forgot to mention that my solar panels are LG. It's LG 425Q AK-A6 is the solar panels that I had put on my house. So if you have any, like I said, any comments, questions, shoot them over to me. I'll get them answered. Sorry about my cat. I'll try to get them answered as quickly as possible. And like I said, maybe if it's a good question, I'll add it into my next video. So thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay, so this is a picture of my solar panels on the front side of my house. My house faces east-west, so the back of my house is east, the front of my house faces west. So these solar panels get the afternoon sun. As you can see, I got one big tree in my yard that is already catching the top corner of the right-hand side there. You can see where it's shading the first panel on the top row on the right-hand side. It's got some shaded area because the sun is sitting really low in the sky this time of year. And then my neighbor's tree, which is pretty tall, as the sun starts to set, it starts blocking the sun from hitting my solar panels. But the thing here is that tree's got to come down because it's got a big split in it. So sometime over the next couple of months, that tree is going to come down. So this is the front of my house my solar panels and move around to the back. Okay, so here's the solar panels. Can't get a very good view of them this direction. Can't see them. So I got solar panels matching the garage on the back, and then I come over to the main part of the house, and there's 5 more solar panels on over the main part of the house. So I got 13 in the back, and I've got 10 solar panels in the front. Now again, I'm in a kind of a wooded area, so I've got these huge trees in my backyard. So according to this big old oak tree right here, so as the sun comes up, it has to get up above these trees before it will be able to hit my solar panels. So when I look at the efficiency of my solar panels, I'll have to look at how are these big tall trees affecting the solar power generation in the morning. So that is the back of my house.